Hey everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's Kafir Middle East update. And my, what a week it's been. So it's March 6th, and we're gonna look back upon the different events that have transpired this week, as well as kind of taking a look at where we're at now and what the future or the near future may hold. We always start with our news bites. Just a reminder, you can get the PDF PowerPoint. There's a link on the YouTube page. Just click that and you'll get the whole PowerPoint without my head in the way, okay? So news bites this week. No big surprise, but China, Russia, and Turkey are calling for an immediate end of the Iran war. It's interesting to see these alliances coming into place. Turkey, Russia, Iran, Ezekiel, and so on. The IDF, basically we're looking at maybe a week to 2 more weeks of major ops. That's kind of from the IDF, but let's be honest, nobody really knows the time frame of this. This last week, there was the U.S. submarine actually sunk Iran's top warship. In fact, I think it's up to about 30 now, as far as the Iranian Navy goes, that are, as Trump would put it, they're doing well at the bottom of the ocean. So I'm not sure how much more naval power Iran has, although the Straits of Hormuz seem to be somewhat closed. We'll have to see what happens, what transpires with that. Iran back to the wall, no doubt, lashing out, or warning Israel and the United States not to attempt an overthrow of the Islamic Republic, stating that it will strike the nuclear research facility at Dimona if the regime is threatened anymore. The Islamic Republic is trying to, here's the bottom line here, is they're backed into a corner. We reported last week about the doomsday scenario, which seems to be taking place, that they're lashing out on all sides. But don't be surprised if they're trying to save whatever is possible from the nuclear sites that are being targeted now, to keep some of the missile systems that are below ground, with the intentions of bringing them out on the day after, okay? They need to conserve what they basically have hidden. As of today, the US and Israel are moving into what they're calling phase 2 of the air campaign, which is expected to focus primarily on the systematic destruction of the Iranian military, infrastructure, regime targets, revolutionary guards, and other centers of power. And then finally, Trump has come out and basically demanding from Iran no new negotiations or talks. He is demanding an unconditional surrender. He's urging Iranian diplomats to seek asylum. And just recently, he's saying that whatever regime changes take place in Iran have to come with his approval. Wonder how that'll go over. All right, so here's our major articles for this week. First one's called The Latest and What's Next. We covered some of this already, but the Islamic Republic has effectively lost its Navy. It's lost its Air Force. The US and Israel have complete air superiority, and most of its police stations, most of the missile launchers are gone, along with large parts of the air defense systems. So the skies of Iran are now completely dominated by Israel and the US forces. And as we're saying, next in line, it seems like the B-1 bombers or whatever will target heavy demolition of the underground missile sites, drone sites, and nuclear bases. Khamenei, the Ayatollah Khamenei's son, no way I can pronounce this, Mojtaba, I guess you would say. He's kind of being lifted up as the replacement. Not a position I think I'd want to secure. Defense Minister Israel Katz basically says it's just a target for elimination. So I'm not sure I'd want to be next in line. And as we mentioned, Trump has already said, no, Mojtaba will not be a candidate that we will endorse for the new regime. And then just last night, the IDF announced that more than 300 Iranian missile launchers were now inoperable. The results showed up immediately. Only 9 missiles were launched. It's the first time in a week that Israel has slept through the night without any sirens or alarms going off. That was last night, being Thursday night. And then, it's war. And so you don't know who to believe. There's always and disinformation that's put out, but it seems as if, and the article is entitled, "Here Comes the Kurds," that the U.S. is willing to support the Kurdish faction because it is, the Kurds in Iran make up about 7 to 10% of the population. But apparently thousands of Kurds are reportedly preparing a ground campaign along Iran's northwest border. The intention seems to be a diversion to pull out the Revolutionary Guard's attention away from the protesters, focus on that. We've read both sides. We've read, no, this is not happening, and we've read it is definitely happening. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that in the coming week, the Kurds. And then, as I mentioned, Trump just issued this: there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. After that, the selection of a great and acceptable leader. We and many of our wonderful and brave allies and partners will work tirelessly to bring Iran back from the brink of destruction. We want to make Iran great again. We want them to have a great future. And then, as he now is signing off, thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And then found this interesting, the countdown clock. In 2017, the Ayatollah installed a countdown clock in Tehran's Palestine Square in the midst of Tehran. It was a massive digital billboard that counted down the days until Israel's predicted annihilation. Its timeline was rooted in a 2015 prophecy by the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who declared that the Zionist regime would cease to exist by the year 2040. For nearly 9 years, that clock has loomed over the city, its countdown on display. However, dun, 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 the opening attack of Operation Roaring Lion on February 28th, 2026, put an end. The clock stopped. Why? It was destroyed. Coincidence, I found this interesting because we're in the week of Purim also, but the ballistic missile that unfortunately killed 9 people in the Bet Shemesh area landed in a synagogue sort of area that was taken out. There was a Torah scroll that was found with a shard of metal. And I give you the picture here, a shard of metal that was embedded into the scroll. And it was embedded in what was called the Parashat Zachor, which is all about Purim. And it seemed to underline the section that says, remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you came out of Egypt, how he attacked you on the way when you were faint and weary and cut off your tail, those that were lagging behind, and so on and so forth. So we've remembered this whole story of Purim, Esther, Mordecai, and Haman this week. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of this has unfolded around this period of time. And then this just as a note, careful, caution, Trump is not the savior. I just saw this poster that said, freedom, liberty, Trump, President Trump, savior of Israel. No, he is not the savior of Israel, okay? Impressive, thankful, but be careful. And then in closing, again, because it's Purim, my wife showed me this and I thought, this is pretty interesting. That when you look at Khamenei and you take the K and you take the E off the beginning and the EI off the end, it's not surprising that front and center, right in the middle, we see boo, hiss, right? For all of you that celebrated Purim, we see Haman. So that's our report for this week. Again, things are happening very, very quickly. There's a lot of disinformation out there. We're just trying to bring together the best we can with the sources that we trust in Israel, some clarity to what's going on. Let's continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, to pray for wisdom and leadership from both Bibi Netanyahu as well as Donald Trump. With that, God bless you and Shabbat Shalom.